there's always what I remember from that. 2 minutes? I think I'm 45 minutes.
And working paper 38. A small number of those recommendations were covered to some extent in agenda item 1, and I will assume that the states concerned in presenting those papers are aware of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretariat, and I now open the floor for discussions on these items. We have Finland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Noting the importance of the TBO as a future concept, Finland fully supports the working paper 52 presented by United States of America. Also, as we are very much in favor and supportive to the development of ATM modernization programs, we also support the working paper 191 presented by China. Thank you.
Thank you, Finland. Switzerland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Switzerland fully supports Working Paper 7 as trajectory-based operations is the core concept of the future ATM system at large. TBO will be an enabler for a global network-centric approach through a network consisting of interlinked regions, and we call upon ICAO to further develop and promote this concept. Switzerland also supports the proposed recommendation concerning the flight and flow information for a collaborative environment, in short FFICE, as one of the key enablers of TBO. Finally, Switzerland would like to propose to amend the recommendation 3.2 in letter B on trajectory-based operations as follows. I quote, that the conference urged states and industry stakeholders to work through ICAO to identify and address potential issues and opportunities such as improved management of global traffic flows through a global network-centric approach for successful development and implementation of TBO. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Switzerland. Singapore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Singapore agrees with the Secretariat's recommendations in Working Paper 7 and supports further development of the TBO concept. On Working Paper 38 by Europe, Singapore notes that new types of vehicles to the air navigation system are at different stages of development and would like to suggest for ICAO and states to include the non-traditional aviation community, such as manufacturers of unmanned aircraft systems, in discussions to identify and address potential issues for successful development and implementation of TBO. Thank you.
Thank you, Singapore. Japan.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Japan would like to support Working Paper 07, Secretariat, and Working Paper 52, US, and also Working Paper 38, which is presented by EU. Especially, this Working Paper's recommendation, C and E, mentioned the importance how conduct FFIs and SWIM, besides how ensure interoperable with SIM to SIM are integral part of realization of time-based management, moreover trajectory-based operation. Meanwhile, we also would like to share to recognize ensuring interoperability and to reinforce common understanding how deal with trajectory flight plan data, examine demonstrations such as mean global and IHRA projects are good experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. Bangladesh.
Good morning, Chairperson and ladies and gentlemen. Bangladesh supports the working paper number 7 fully, but with a small endorsement we have to make is this: the TBO is for the manned vehicle, but as the unmanned aerial vehicles are also taking up a lot of space in our domain, then we would like to urge ICAO to give us a policy guideline as how to include the TBO operation with the unmanned aerial vehicle systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Bangladesh. India.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. India fully supports Working Paper 7 and its recommendations as presented by Secretariat. The concept of individual trajectory management, enabling an optimized network performance, is being explored by many states as described in Working Paper 87, 191, and 271. It is therefore appropriate that ICAO brings forth the global TBO concept and associated modifications of ICAO provisions. It should also be noted that the underlying flight data exchange for enabling TBO will need a robust global framework and improvements in automation. This will need to be facilitated by engagement with service providers, industry, and standards development organizations. We therefore fully support Working Paper 38 presented by Eurocontrol and Working Paper 52 by United States and the recommendations therein. Thank you.
Thank you, India. Kanso.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to you all. Council would like to thank China for its excellent Working Paper 191 on TBO validation activities in China. Council supports a suggestion from China that ICAO should further clarify the global ITBO concept and to define corresponding required capabilities of ATC automation systems, ATFM systems, air-ground data link, and airborne CNS avionics. Best equipped, best served is one of the goals of Kenzo. Further, we would like to thank CAAC and ATMB for their excellent work and thank them for sharing their experience with the conference. Further, we would like to fully support Working Paper 271 by Singapore and Thailand. We welcome the paper describing the promising initiatives and fully support the recommendations in order to deliver early TBO benefits through practical steps as described within. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanso. Ayata.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, everyone. IATA would like to support Working Paper 87 from Brazil, and IATA, in addition, supports the move towards trajectory-based operations as introduced in Working Papers 7, 38, and 52. But IATA is also concerned that without some fundamental changes in the way ATM is managed, the airspace users will not be able to reach the expected benefits. ICAO should therefore include in a TBO workstream activities related to airspace management, including airspace access across FIR boundaries and airspace utilization. ATFM measures need to be shared collaboratively and supported end-to-end by CDM processes relying on stream information exchanges. Attention should be given to identifying the automation changes required both on the ground and in the aircraft to ensure efficient and timely introduction of the elements required for successful migrations to TBO. We recommend that ICAO include these items into the work program of the appropriate ICAO panels and that the panels strongly consider seeking industry concurrence and whether the concept being developed by those panels will be achievable by utilizing already designed equipment, or if the concept would only be achievable at greater expense to all stakeholders. Ultimately, the concept should be scalable and have an attributable cost benefit, or we may have designed a system that will be placed on a shelf. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ayata. Austria.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. TBO is a concept enabling globally consistent performance-based 4D trajectory management by sharing and managing trajectory information. TBO will enhance planning and execution of efficient flights, reducing potential conflicts and resolving upcoming network and system demands or capacity imbalances early. It covers ATM processes, starting at the point an individual flight is being planned through flight execution to post-flight activities. As Eurocontrol has presented a working paper number 38, we are a strong supporter. In particular, Austria is one of the sponsors of the No Country Left Behind initiative by ICAO in the Euro-NAT region. We would like to specifically draw the attention of this conference on the fact that TBO has the potential to bring performance improvements for all operational environments, irrespective of traffic density. The systematic inclusion of TBO in the GAMP is therefore fully supported. The benefits of TBO will not only bring performance benefits through the synchronization and enhancement of decision-making processes and collaborative decision-making, but also enable continuation of flight planning during the execution phase, taking optimum account of the downstream optimization opportunities, supported by the exchange of flight data and between the relevant ground and airborne systems. Hand in hand with TBO, the need for a global collaborative ATFM approach is evolving. This should therefore also be included as an integral part of the future TBO developments. The concept of TBO, together with other concepts as presented in the paper by Eurocontrol, will also serve the accommodation or integration of new types of operation using higher levels of automation. TBO is therefore the common denominator between the traffic management regimes, including ATM. In particular, Austria sees the need for increased levels of automation and collaborative decision-making enabling TBO, as well as the need to address the human dimension and change management processes, as we have already pointed out in earlier interventions. Austria fully supports working paper 38. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Austria. Italy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. Italy wants to support the working paper 271 from Singapore and Thailand, and the recommendation in this paper. The paper explains very well the importance of the paradigm change of TBO. One of the key statements on this paper is that ATFM operations will gradually merge with tactical ATC operations with TBO as the bridge between the two. It is therefore of importance to further develop a TFM according to the lines in the GAMP NOP modules. We also want to support the comments made by Singapore before. Thank you very much.
Thank you. United States.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to everyone. The United States supports all the working papers within this section, and in particular, we appreciate working paper 87 from Brazil that seeks support for TBO and requests regional offices' cooperation with states to develop and implement TBO on a secure network. Thank you.
Kenya?
Thank you, Chair, and good morning. Kenya supports conclusions of working paper number 7 from the Secretariat. And also to that, Kenya supports working paper 52 and 38, taking cognizance of the near future need to integrate UAS into the normal airspace. And with this, ICAO should determine the timelines of integration through provision of applicable standards. TBO will form part of the enablers of this integration with the defined performance-based communication, navigation, and surveillance parameters for different volumes of airspace. Kenya also supports working paper number 87, conclusion 3.3D, on ensuring a secure TBO environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenya. South Africa?
Good morning to everybody. South Africa welcomes the Working Paper 7 presented by the Secretariat, and specifically the recommendations made in A. South Africa supports this recommendation. However, successful planning for system upgrades and implementations of FFIC requires well-defined standards to be adhered to, and this must be kept in mind. With regards to recommendation B, South Africa supports this, and also this must be kept in mind that it's important as we work towards the finalization of the TBO concept as well as publication of the revised GAMP. This is important for states as in respect to their planning purposes. In respect to C in the recommendation, South Africa supports this in its totality. Thank you.
Thank you, South Africa. Uruguay?
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Chair. And good morning to everyone. In the light of the GATMOC document, this is deemed to be particularly important for developing air navigation, improving safety, and guaranteeing the efficiency of the system as a whole, in making it possible to have in precision and detail present and future positions of aircraft. However, over the long term, there will be the need for an appropriate framework to support this development, and also there's a need to develop certain capabilities, especially freight and flow for information for a collaborative environment, and integration with the SWIM concept in a harmonized way, first of all in the regions and then globally. For the users of airspace and for the air navigation providers. There should also be clarification within the GAMP, and for the benefit of all states, the link between TBO and the respective elements therein, and Uruguay supports the working paper from the Secretariat and WP87 from Brazil. Thank you.
Thank you, Uruguay. Indonesia?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. We are supporting the recommendation, the Working Paper 7, presented by the Secretary, also Working Paper 38 and Working Paper 191. And we are highly in the request to develop guidance material of global air traffic management, system-wide trajectory-based TBO, including the assessment of amendment of ICAO provision. Indonesia at this time implement the use of PBGS in the Ujung Pandang FIR starting on March 2018, and the update of the FFIs and the Ujung Pandang FIR in Brisbane already using IDC. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Indonesia. United Kingdom?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The UK fully supports Switzerland's proposed refinement to the proposed FFI's recommendation in Working Paper 7.
Thank you, United Kingdom. Netherlands?
Yes. Good morning, colleagues. Thank you, Chair. Netherlands is happy to support Working Papers 7, 38 and 52 on trajectory-based operations. The TBO concept is the key element of the future global air navigation system, and we would like to underline the importance of the actions on TBO as requested to ICAO and states in the recommendations of these three working papers. Nevertheless, on Working Paper 7, we also would like to support the proposal made by Switzerland to improve or to change recommendation A. Thank you.
Thank you, Netherlands. Venezuela?
Gracias, señor.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everyone. Venezuela supports WP7 from the Secretariat. with the understanding that the air navigation sector must contribute to developments in hand with safety aspects. We also support WP87 from Brazil, with special emphasis on subparagraph C of its recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Venezuela. If there are no more comments, we will summarize the discussions. Okay, thank you all. In summarizing the discussions, the committee noted a wide support for ongoing and planned work of ICAO contained in the Secretariat paper and supported by other papers discussed under this sub-agenda item. The committee noted validation, testing, and transition activities of key TBO enablers presented by several states, the result of which would be a valuable input for ICAO. The committee noted the varying levels of maturity in the implementation of key TBO enablers and a critical role of the ICAO regional groups to support a harmonized transition to a TBO environment. The committee recognized the importance of a global TBO concept and systemic and transitional part integrated in the updated Global Air Navigation Plan Aviation System Block Upgrade Framework. Also, the need to involve the non-traditional community in the development of suitable ICAO provisions was recognized. The committee also recognized key TBO enablers, FFICE, SWIM, Global ATFM, data link, and increased levels of automation, taking the role of human in due account. Also emphasized by the committee was the need for a transition strategy during the mixed mode operations, and to be mindful of the potential performance benefits of TBO for all operational environments. Finally, the revised text by Switzerland and support by others will be taken on board. Are there any comments on the summary? Thank you. This closes agenda item 3.2. Agenda 3.3 is Air Traffic Flow Management, ATFM. There are 6 working papers, and these will be considered as one batch. Working paper 8, 207, 86, 109, 40, and 237. I'll now ask the Secretariat to present working paper 8.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Working Paper 8 recalls that the implementation of the operational improvements described in the Air Traffic Flow Management ATFM thread, as recommended by the 12th Air Navigation Conference, is well underway and should be continued. ATFM builds on collaborative decision-making, CDM, processes and is increasingly used to mitigate the consequences of disruptions in network operations, both planned and unplanned. Working Paper 8 highlights that ATFM yields greater benefits when implemented in a collaborative manner at regional level, ensuring that all flights, including long-haul flights, can participate in flow management and capacity optimization. This is, however, predicated on the establishment of robust coordination procedures based on the availability of the required information to fully support ATFM. Working Paper 8 further outlines that ATFM capacity management and CDM processes will continue to evolve to take full advantage of the information-rich environment enabled by the development of system-wide information management, SWIM, as well as of enhanced aircraft position information. This will increase predictability of the air traffic system while providing increased flexibility to airspace users, paving the way for the optimization of individual trajectories in a consistent and network-efficient manner, enabling the long-term vision of the global air traffic management operational concept. Action proposed can be found in paragraph number 3. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Secretary. I now invite India to present Working Paper 207.
Hi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving India opportunity to present Working Paper 207. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This paper presents the overview of an exploratory approach by the Indian ANSP, the Airports Authority of India, wherein a combination of fast-time simulation, historical data analysis, and neural networking may provide an ideal solution for the complex air traffic control sector workload determination compared to the other methods. The ATC sector capacity depends on many factors, and controller workload is one of the major factors. Thus, the sector loads has to be monitored dynamically for better sector management, thus creating a requirement to monitor controller workload on a dynamic basis. There are multiple approaches presently available to determine the controller workload, right from simple approaches based on load counts per hour in the sector using analytical methods. The immediate need is to determine the controller workload using an approach that is reliable, repeatable, incorporating the numerous factors affecting the measurement of workload, and that helps in dynamic management of airspace. This paper presents the proposal being developed by India as given in paragraph 2.4 to 2.9. The details are: large amount of historical data was used in the fast-time simulations to estimate timings for controller tasks and used it as an input to estimate sector capacity and controller workload threshold values like low, medium, and high. Refer para 2.6 to 2.9, where it is proposed to use neural networks to learn, determine, and predict controller workload on a continued basis by using both current surveillance data and flight plans for future estimations. The past operational data was used for the neural networks to learn the outcomes of different situations. Thus, the use of neural network for estimating controller workloads will enable the processing of huge amount of data and other complex inputs to provide faster and reliable results. Please refer to para 3.1b. India requests ICAO to impress upon states to share their best practices and take on priority the need to standardize the methodology for determination of ATC sector workload or the controller workload. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, India. Working paper 86 will now be presented by Brazil.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hugo Rossi on behalf of Brazil. This working paper 86 aims to encourage the states to cooperate and also presents a brief summary of a successful case of ATFM implementation in Argentina, with both support from Brazil and ICAO's South America Regional Office, with funding provided by United Nations Development Programme. Encouraged by the cultural, linguistic, and geographic close proximity, Argentina requested support and started an innovative action with the cooperation of this area in order to establish a unified agenda to develop ATFM. At the end, the ATFM service in Argentina had initiated its operation of ESESA Flow Management Unit in June 2018, only 18 months after the formal agreement was reached in January 2017. It seems that it has become a regional benchmark, considering that Uruguay, Panama have asked similar support for ATFM after the disclosure of the Argentina project, and Bolivia and Paraguay were also motivated and requested support to implement PANSOPS, PBN, and other ATS technical cooperation agreements. At the end, gains are expected in the near future for the traffic flow within the South America region regarding capacity, interoperability, standardization of data and processes, but results of the operational and strategic coordination are already noticeable. In that sense, technical cooperation agreement among countries should be strongly recommended for ATFM proposals, not only after implementation, but even before starting its development. As stated in Doc 9971 that effective management must transcend national borders, it is impossible to think about ATFM without cooperation and sharing. For that reason, we invite the conference to support the actions proposed by this paper, principally requesting ICAO Regional Office to cooperate with the states at the regional level to develop technical cooperation agreements to support ATFM implementation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Brazil. Next paper, working paper 109 on behalf of China, Thailand, and Singapore. May I invite you to present?
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. With your permission, working paper 109 will be co-presented by Singapore and Thailand on behalf of the three states, including China. At the 12th Air Navigation Conference in 2012, China, Thailand, and Singapore have presented outcomes of a pilot project for city pair collaborative decision-making, or CDM, between Bangkok and Singapore. The project subsequently expanded to explore the concept of network airport CDM to manage the traffic flow between three major hubs at the sub-regional level ANSPs of Singapore, Thailand, and Hong Kong, China. This initiative has since progressed and evolved into a network cross-border ATFM implementation effort for the Asia-Pacific region. At the core of this effort is the concept of the distributed multinodal ATFM network, with emphasis foundation of collaborative decision-making and information exchange. Under this distributed multinodal ATFM network concept, participating NSP manage respective local ATFM units and collaboratively share ATFM-related information. The concept of operation had been adopted by ICAO as a potential means of ATFM operations in the Asia and Pacific region. The project adopted a tiered level of participation, catered to match the level of readiness of each NSP to ensure a systematic progress of ATFM capabilities. The project also adopted a phased approach in implementation, where Phase 1 focused on developing the process flow for regulating flights into airports, and Phase 2 for regulation of flights into volumes of airspace. With the maturing of the two phases, the project team hopes to work towards connectivity and interoperability with other ATFM operations or network outside the Asia-Pacific region, possibly through the SWIM-based information exchange. Since the commencement of operational trials in 2015 to validate the concept, The multi-nodal ATFM project now includes members from 11 ANSP, covering participation of more than 35 airports in the region. The participation is expected to grow further as states in the Asia and Pacific region seize the benefits of cross-border ATFM implementation. The group is currently working on phase 2 of the project, which also includes developing processes and capabilities to manage multiple ATFM measures. With your permission, Chairperson, Singapore would like to pass the mic to Thailand to continue the presentation of this paper.
Thank you, Singapore, and thank you, Mr. Chair. In order to develop the efficient multilateral information exchange, a dedicated team has been established to focus on addressing the technical challenges experienced in the distributed ATFM environment. The technical subgroup of the multi-nodal ATFM project, comprising experts from the participating NSP, is tasked to explore solutions taking into consideration existing and upcoming technologies. It had been recognized early on that swim-based technology, with its scalability, allowed by the use of common standards for information exchange, and its design based on the efficient service-oriented architecture, would be the basis for distributed ATFM data communication. With that, the technical subgroup had worked on operational scenarios to identify the operational requirements, which was then translated to the technical specifications, in turn used to specify the information exchange protocol, the need to propose amendment to FIXM to support multi-nodal concept, and lastly, to develop the interface control document. The technical subgroup collaborated with and have contributed to numerous working groups and ICAO panels of the Air Navigation Commission to ensure that the development at the project level is aligned with the exchange framework that would be able to support the eventual SWIM implementation as identified in GAMP. For example, at the Asia-Pacific regional level, the technical subgroup actively contributes to the ATFM Information Requirements Small Working Group, which focuses on achieving interoperability and harmonizing the exchange of data attributes between different ATFM groups in the Asia-Pacific region. The distributed multi-nodal ATFM network concept has been proven viable and successful in regulating air traffic flow into a constrained or congested ATFM resource. With a distributed mode of operations, harmonization of procedures and process is crucial in ensuring interoperability between different regions and groups. Continuing support from participating ANSP is also essential for the implementation of cross-border ATFM operation. With that, we wish to conclude the presentation and would like the conference to note the distributed multi-nodal ATFM projects group's effort in cross-border ATFM development for the Asia-Pacific region, and contribute to and support ICAOs to harmonize the ATFM data exchange to the work of ATFM Information Requirements Small Working Group and implementation of SWIM for the Asia-Pacific region, and consider adopting a collaborative approach similar to that of distributed multi-nodal ATFM project group to implement cross-border ATFM. Thank you.
Thank you. I now invite Austria to present Working Paper 4.0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We would like to ask Italy to present this on behalf of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now I will give you a brief overview of working paper number 40, which has been presented by Austria on behalf of the European Union and its member states, the other member states of European Civil Aviation Conference, and Eurocontrol. Air traffic flow management has been in existence for more than 30 years. The function commenced in the early 80s in both North America and Europe, covering large geographical areas. In the case of Europe, the Eurocontrol Network Manager system includes a centralized flow management function operating in close cooperation with national ATFM units in the airspace of 43 states, including Italy, obviously. Concept of network management goes beyond ATFM. Its goal is to enhance the network performance in terms of safety, capacity, cost effectiveness, and environmental impact. Its important component is the cooperative traffic management, CTM, the collaborative process of determining and implementing optimal solutions for network operations through the continuous information sharing of individual, local, and network preference in both the planning and execution phases of ATM. CTM covers, inter alia, the introduction of target time operations to improve the delivery of traffic and to reduce the shortcomings of the current air traffic flow and capacity management by extending the management of time measures into the ATC execution phase, located at the constraint itself. In order to meet the increasing demands for capacity, it is necessary to develop efficient cross-border airspace design and capacity management independent of state and flight information borders. For the network operation concept to become effective, it is important to adopt a new way of thinking across field borders, across national, regional borders, through existing technology and the use of existing ICAO standards and recommendations. In Europe, the implementation of free route concept has triggered the use of ICAO provisions supporting cross-border operation to their fullest. The experience gathered both in preparation of the deployment and the effective use of the free route airspace concept across the European network shows that the framework provided by current provisions could be used when supported by the appropriate level of integration, ITC, airspace management, and ATFM, and associated data exchange flows. In Europe, network functions were instrumental in ensuring the sharing of a network vision and its performance by all stakeholders, led by the network manager acting as an impartial body, as an honest broker. Another important element is predictability, which is the key to the current and future effective network management functions, both within and across ICAO regions. A key enabler in supporting a global development and harmonization of network management functions is the enhancement of cooperation and coordination between regions. It should therefore be ensured that operational data, flight data information, capacity information, other data as required, are exchanged not only within ICAO regions, but across ICAO regions, enable to development of regional SWIM aligned B2B web services. Improved short-term tactical predictability for major traffic flows requires that real-time flight ATC activation departure plan information is available to each ATFM network management unit concerned. The need to maintain continuity of traffic flows between regions during crisis requires that the planning and execution of specific measures is given a global dimension. To achieve this, one must plan contingency scenario between regions, coordinated at global level and supported by the sharing, exchanging of airspace and traffic data and simulation tools. This approach would enable a rapid reaction in deploying commensurate responses to unfolding crises by executing pre-existing scenarios or developing solutions using available data and tools. For instance, in Europe, the ICAO European North Atlantic Office developed ICAO Crisis Management Framework Document, AirDoc 031, which support crisis management arrangements at the national, sub-regional, and regional level, provides guidance to states in their work to enhance their level of preparedness to treat scenarios, and aims to harmonize crisis management approach across the European region. On this basis, we invite the Assembly to agree on the following actions. Request ICAO to develop provisions supporting the implementation of a global network collaborative management based on cooperative traffic management techniques that include further ATM integration in support of time and trajectory-based operations, TBO. Urge states to accelerate implementation of ICAO provisions in support of effective cross-border operations with focus on the provision of efficient air traffic services and airspace and scarce resource management. Then request ICAO to promote the evolution of network management measures and using flight and flow information for a collaborative environment, FFIs, data exchange from intra-regional air to inter-regional applicability and to develop the necessary provisions for the management of flows based on user-preferred trajectories. And then request ICAO to launch the development of a global approach in support of a crisis management using data exchanges, processes, and tools to deliver early warnings, situation awareness, and effective recovery. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Italy. Working paper 237, on behalf of the Republic of Korea, China, and Japan. Please present.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everybody. Republic of Korea to present the working paper 237 on behalf of China and Japan. Working paper 237 present air traffic flow management and collaborative decision-making, ATFM CDM implementation status and challenges in Asia and Pacific region, and highlight the importance of the global ATFM harmonization to enhance the collaborative decision and the collaborative cross-border ATFM capabilities. Obviously, the air traffic flow management is one of the ICAO's priority as described in the 5th edition of the Global Air Navigation Plan, and one of the 10 priorities in Asia and Pacific region, as in Asia-Pacific SMNIS ATM plan. In order to implement the cross-border ATFM CDM in harmonization with the robust air traffic growth in the Northeast Asia, Republic of Korea and China, Japan have established the ATFM harmonization group, NARAC, in Northeast Asia, and have been implementing the cross-region ATFM platform called the CLACP project for the ATFM information exchange through the cross-border ATFM network between the the ATFM centers. CLACP project managed in the page of 3 called this pre-tactical, tactical, and post-operation analysis. The accurate and timely ATFM information exchanged on the CLACP project to assist the ATFM unit to take the appropriate ATFM measures is a key enabler for the implementing cross-region airspace flow program, AFP, through the 3-phase development approach. This paper also highlights the necessity of the development of various operational scenarios for the ATFM information exchange, harmonize the methodology of the airspace capacity estimation, and key performance indicator and performance metrics for the ATFM, and guidance reflecting the flight and flow information for collaborative environment, FFICE, the trajectory-based operation concept. We kindly invite ICAO and the member state to the action item in paragraph 3.1 on page 4. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of the presentation of the 6 working papers. Before I invite the Secretariat to provide any clarifications, please note that there are information papers on this item. Information paper 50 by Austria, 202 China, 209 India, 210 India, and 243 Republic of Korea. Secretary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Regarding working paper 40 presented by Italy on behalf of Austria, on behalf of a variety of European states, while air traffic flow management is instrumental in dealing with crises, the recommendation to develop a global approach to crisis management goes slightly beyond this agenda item. Mr. Chairman, it may be useful that this element be recalled when discussing working paper 298 to be presented by IATA under agenda item 3.5. So perhaps they be permitted 2 bites of the apple. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretariat. And I now invite the floor to open discussions on this agenda item. I see India. Okay, the UAE.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Assalamu alaikum and good morning, everyone. We would like to support Working Paper 8 by the Secretariat and emphasize on the importance of having guidance material for the subject. And we applaud India for Working Paper 207. We believe it's done in the correct way, and it seems to be a very impressive and comprehensive research program. We strongly support Working Paper 40, as it highlights a number of applications and concepts that have been proven within Eurocontrol. And it appears to be a suitable roadmap for a more globally harmonized and connected ATFM approach. We support Working Paper 86, 109, 237. We note the valuable information in the working papers and congratulate the concerned states for the achievements made. In the mid-region, we have successfully met as an ATFM Task Force 1 in Muscat in last September. And I would like to appreciate the APAC region, specifically Thailand and India, and also Eurocontrol and the FAA for attending our meeting and being an effective participant in our meeting, in a great demonstration and sign for global cooperation and collaboration. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. United Kingdom.
Chairman, Working Paper 207, the UK welcomes India's paper. We recognise the importance of robust ATC workload assessment, and we support information sharing as proposed. However, we believe that ICAO standardisation of the methodology to be applied when determining dynamic ATC sector loading and the dynamic sectorisation of ATC is not the appropriate way forward. How this is done must be determined by the nature of ATC sectors and may vary widely in different states and regions. We believe it's up to the ANSP to decide how they do it to best serve their needs, and there are a number of modelling tools available that enable capacity studies, resectorisation projects, reorganisations of routes or free route or RVSM implementation. Finally, and as an aside, we encourage ICAO amendment of the ATS Planning Manual, that's document 9426, to improve the current guidance on ATS systems development, including airspace sectorisation. Thank you.
Japan.
Thank you, Chairperson. Japan would like to support Working Paper 08 by Secretariat and Working Paper 40 by EU, according to Working Paper 08, to achieve promoting common understanding CDM framework. It is essential to facilitate suitable data exchange management scheme. Besides, Working Paper 40 and Working Paper 237 mention that to achieve ATM operations suitably and efficiently, it is crucial part to collaborate and harmonize not only neighboring states but also regional level. Thank you.
Thank you. Poland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning all. In Poland, we would like to support the Working Paper 86, presented by Brazil, Working Paper 109, presented by China, Thailand, and Singapore, and the Working Paper 237, presented by Korea, Japan, and China. We are of the opinion that air traffic flow management extended to the capacity management is one of the key elements to tackle the capacity constraints which we are facing in different parts of the airspace across the world. Based on the European experience as well as on the content of the presented documents, we believe that the following elements should be considered as the grounds for the effective flow and capacity management. First of all, collaborative decision-making process should be delivered at every possible level, be it local, sub-regional, regional, and finally global level. It cannot, however, be forgotten that the effective CDM process requires proper involvement of all relevant stakeholders, including, above all, airspace users. Secondly, While implementing effective CDM process, there is a necessity for exhaustive data sharing between entities involved in flow management performed in a timely manner. Thirdly, it is a matter of great importance to implement common solutions within the regions, aiming at achieving desired level of interoperability with regard to air traffic flow management. Poland is pleased to note the number of regional initiatives implementing cross-border ATFM and fully supports these initiatives. Therefore, Poland stands on the position that ICAO should continue its work on enhancing implementation of the global collaborative ATFM across the globe with global collaborative ATFM across the globe with particular regard to flow and capacity management between ICAO regions. Furthermore, and as an advocate in the European working paper 40, would like ICAO to develop and promote a global network vision as a network of interlinked regions. This all the more relevant within the future context of the trajectory-based operation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Poland. Austria.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are in support of working paper 40 as presented by Italy. The working paper presents the benefits of more than 20 years experience of network management within the European region. It increases the capacity. It more than doubled it. We had the experience to reduce delays by more than 80% in that time. And the sharing of scarce resources is one of our most important benefits, also being part of the network management. The use of an impartial body is in particular of use when it comes to cross-border elements, to cross-border operation, where we think that has huge benefits, and also predictability, which urges us together in order to promote harmonization and move on also with the implementation in the interest of the stakeholders. I take due respect of the clarification by the Secretariat when it comes to crisis function. However, we see, and it is formulated in the recommendation, as the use of data exchange and processes and tools to deliver at an early stage could be suitable in that part of the agenda item. However, we take due respect whenever you want to move that. We have the experience that crisis management should be an integral part when it comes to processes, when it comes to use those tools. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Austria. Greece.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning to all. We express our support both to the paper and the recommendations presented by Working Paper 8 by Secretariat. Furthermore, we advocate to define the concept of collaborative ATFM, supporting the global network-centric approach. In other words, we strongly support global network, the development of global network vision constituted of an interregional network. Hence, taking this into account, we propose to refine the recommendation C in Working Paper 8 of Secretariat by adding, after guidance on global collaborative air traffic flow management in preparation for trajectory-based operations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greece. Singapore.
Thank you, Chairperson. Singapore supports the Secretariat's recommendation in Working Paper 8 for states to take active participation in collaborative decision-making for ATFM measures that would have effect on air traffic flow, extending beyond the national boundaries. The planning and implementation of improvements related to network operations must also take into consideration cross-border ATFM, and as such, a common understanding of processes and procedures should be established in order for such measures to be effective. For instance, in the distributed multinodal ATFM network project among 11 ANSPs in the Asia-Pacific region, a Common Operating Procedure or COP have been developed, taking reference from ICAO's Asia-Pacific Framework for Collaborative ATFM. With regards to Working Paper 4T, Singapore supports the proposed recommendation to achieve effective cross-border and inter-regional network operations. This would enable initiatives such as long-range ATFM, which could be a path towards TPO. Singapore has collaborated with ANSPs of New Zealand and the United Kingdom to research and develop operational concepts to support long-range ATFM. Developments in provisions to global network collaborative management based on cooperative traffic management techniques would definitely be useful to support our efforts of long-range ATFM. Specific to the Asia-Pacific region and related to Working Paper 237, Singapore look forward to continue our collaboration efforts with states in the NARAC project to ensure interoperability of ATFM initiatives in the region. We also urge states in other parts of the world to embark on similar collaborative effort to achieve the vision of an interconnected global network operations. Thank you.
Thank you, Singapore. India?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. India appreciates the comprehensive presentation of evolution of collaborative ATFM vision as presented by Secretariat in Working Paper 8. The paper rightly brings together the various elements that are needed for a truly integrated and broader understanding of ATFM, CDM, and ACDM. We also definitely foresee the need for further expanding the scope of global ATFM to become more aligned with the TBO concept. In this aspect, we endorse the recommendations of Working Paper 40 as presented by Italy. India has implemented a nationwide ATFM system since 2017 and also taken steps for integrating ACDM with ATFM, as we have explained in the information papers 209 and 210. Fully recognizing that the national ATFM systems will need to collaborate with adjacent ATFM systems of other states, India fully supports the cross-border ATFM initiatives as presented by China, Thailand, and Singapore in Working Paper 109. In this aspect, we would like to inform that we are also a member of the ATFM Requirements Working Group in APAC region that is developing the ATFM data exchange mechanisms. We also foresee a similar initiative in the Middle East region as informed by United Arab Emirates, and India will extend all cooperation to the effort. We also thank United Arab Emirates and United Kingdom for their comments on Working Paper 207. Thank you.
Thank you, India. Council?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Council would like to support Working Paper 109 presented by China, Thailand, and Singapore. Council welcomes the progress made by ANSPs from various states in the Asia-Pacific region in implementing cross-border air traffic flow management through the distributed multinodal ATFM project, network project. Council fully supports this ongoing collaboration and applauds the 11 involved ANSPs and stakeholders. Council supports the need for continuous ICAO facilitation and commitment from states to achieve ATFM data exchange harmonization in interoperability as stated in this paper. Council calls on states in the APEC region to contribute and support ICAO's efforts to harmonize ATFM data attributes through the work of the ATFM Information Requirements Small Working Group and the implementation of SWIM in the APEC region. We see this as an example for an approach that could be adopted by other regions. Council also thanks India for its Working Paper 207. We would like to note that, according to Council, we support sharing of information as described, but we are of the view that the standardization of methodologies for air traffic control workloads is inappropriate at this time. Further, Council supports all other working papers presented in Agenda Item 3.3, and we would like to thank all states for the excellent information papers that they submitted on this important issue of ATFM. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Thailand?
Thank you, Chairman. Thailand fully support the Working Paper 8 presented by the Secretariat, especially the need for guidance on air traffic flow management in preparation for the trajectory-based operations. And Thailand also welcomed the working Paper 207 presented by India and Working Paper 86 presented by Brazil. In particular, we highly support the sharing of best practices, which we think that would help obtain the efficient ATFM implementations across the regions. Regarding the determinations of the sector load, we are in the view that the ICAO guideline would be beneficial to provide states with the framework to refer to for their own capacity assessment. Thank you.
Thank you, Thailand. Saudi Arabia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. Saudi Arabia would welcome all papers presented in this very important topic, Agenda 3.3. Saudi Arabia also would like to support the recommendation of Working Paper 8 and would like to put emphasis on the need that ICAO support regional initiatives to implement collaborative decision-making process in the provision of air navigation services. In the meantime, Saudi Arabia also would like to support the recommendation of Working Paper 40, mainly bullet D, that requesting ICAO to initiate the development of global approach in support of crisis management. Thank you.
Colombia.
Gracias. Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everyone. We support the working papers presented under this agenda item. We thank all of the states for their contributions. And we especially commend the work carried out by Brazil, Argentina, China, Thailand, and Singapore as a demonstration of regional cooperation, fostering capacity generation, in this case, to contributing to cross-border ATFM. Thank you.
Thank you, Colombia. Canada.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you. So Canada supports the principles identified in WP40 with the suggestion that those ideas be studied by a working group in order to see the ways of best identifying responsibilities of states and the best way to proceed. Moreover, through the working group, ICAO should develop technical reports evaluating the necessary changes and the phases that have to be gone through in order to implement the recommendations in WP40. We think this additional work will help properly to understand what will be needed to implement the principles in that paper. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Canada. Chile.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chile appreciate working paper number 8, and also Chile appreciate and support the working paper number 86 presented by Brazil about the technical cooperation between Brazil and Argentina for the air traffic flow management. Cheche, merci, spasiba, thank you, brigado, gracias.
Thank you. Bangladesh.
Thank you, Chairperson and delegates. Good morning again. Bangladesh supports the working paper 008 presented by Secretariat, 207 by India, working paper 86 by Brazil, and 109 by China, Thailand, and Singapore. While you endorse the views of the working papers, which shows us the development made in the states with the cross-border ATFM operations, we especially endorse a view by Brazil on working paper 86 for a technical cooperation agreement among the states in a regional level. And also, as we see that the cross-border ATFM operation requires sharing of data. In the APAC region, the different states are in various degree of attaining cybersecurity. So we must make a note of caution here that when you exchange data, we should also consider the cybersecurity in view. Thank you.
Thank you, Bangladesh. IATA.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. IATA support working paper 8, 40, 86,
109 and 237, and would like to stress that ATFM is a key element to increase airspace efficiency and capacity across FIR boundaries. We would also like to support the good efforts on cross-border and cross-regional ATFM initiative. We encourage continuing dialogues between these efforts aiming towards eventual regional and global harmonization. We also note with appreciation opportunities for operators and airspace users to actively participate and continue to engage in these activities. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Italy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Italy would not support the request to move the crisis under working paper 298. I mean, there are links between the two papers, but it seems that 298 is more related to disasters, serious one, while ATFM is very useful also in regional or sub-regional crises, like even a big strike in ATC, big industrial action. And another thing, we want to reassert the need for ICAO to have a global vision global network vision of ATFM. It should be considered by a network of interlinked regions rather than small local solutions, because this is, the network, the global network vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Italy. Finland?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Finland would like to support the proposal to modify recommendation C in the working paper 8 as proposed by Greece. Thank you.
Thank you. Australia?
Thank you, Chair. Australia welcomes and supports the papers from our Asia-Pacific colleagues, Working Paper 109 from China, Thailand and Singapore, and Working Paper 237 from the Republic of Korea, China and Japan. Noting the comment from our United Kingdom colleague in relation to Working Paper 207 from India, can Australia suggest a small change to Recommendation B that impress upon states to share their approaches on ATFM to assist ICAO provide guidance to states on facilitating dynamic sectorisation? I think that might be a workable solution. Just in relation to the comments about crisis management, I did note that the comment at the back of the European paper talked about aviation network crisis management. I must admit that helped me in terms of clarification of what that paper was about. I think just to say it's about crisis management is a fairly broad topic, so perhaps a little bit more specification might come in handy. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Australia. Slovakia?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to you all. We'd also like to support the working paper 8 as presented by Secretariat, and also we'd like to support the comment or the proposal made by Greece to amend the recommendation C in the working paper. Thank you.
Thank you. Uruguay?
Thank you, Chair. Air traffic flow management, ATFM, needs to use airspace resources as efficiently as possible. There needs to be constant progress and continued efforts to standardize and exchange information in support of ATFM regionally and then globally. The work carried out by Brazil is at the heart of this endeavour, not only on ATFM, but also ATC issues and NOPS in issues in other countries of the region. This cooperative work will be strengthened with the backing of the respective regional offices in developing multilateral agreements. Uruguay supports WP8 submitted by the Secretariat and document 86 submitted by Brazil. Thank you.
Thank you. Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Chair. Nigeria supports Secretariat Working Paper 8, as well as Working Paper 40 by Eurocontrol, and also Working Paper 109 by Thailand, China, and Singapore. And specifically, I would like to note that it is very necessary for integration of national contingency plans into air traffic flow management programs, as well as harmonization of procedures across FIR, as well as development of inter-FIR contingency plans or regional contingency plans. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nigeria. Okay, thank you. If there are no more comments, we will just seek to summarize the discussions. Thanks. Okay, thank you. The committee noted the importance of accurate capacity determination as an enabler for ATFM and noted the numerous examples of cooperation between states, illustrating how collaboration could enhance the rapid implementation of cooperative network solutions. The committee agreed on the importance of regional cooperation for air traffic flow management, including the need to share best practices, and agreed as well on the need for interconnectivity between regions. The committee agreed that ATFM initiatives increase the efficiency of the network in normal operations, but were also instrumental to the effective management of crisis situations. Acknowledging that collaboration between states could enable the rapid implementation of cooperative network solutions, the committee also agreed that information exchange built on SWIM principles would be essential to further improve communication capabilities and enable states to manage flows in a collaborative manner within and across ICAO regions, thereby providing opportunities for further enhancement of efficient air traffic services. The importance of ICAO's work on ATFM provisions and guidance material was recognized and enhanced this work, especially with regard to sectorization. Finally, a proposed amendment to Working Paper 8 recommendations will be taken into account. Any discussion? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much for your efficient work this morning and extensive input, and still leaving us 5 minutes before the coffee break. So you have an extra 5 minutes this morning. We'll take the break now and come back at 11:30. Please be on time. And the coffee break is sponsored by ACI. Thank you.